I think we are unfair to the African National Congress. And I think the American taxpayers must not support us on the basis of choosing friends for us. I think you must respect our decisions to have our own friends. Please don't dictate to us. We must decide who our friends are. I think it's a bit of arrogance to tell us with whom we should associate. I mean, that's really patronizing, and I think the ANC doesn't like that.
In the 1990 annual State Department Human Rights Report refers to continued credible and reliable reports that the ANC continued to abuse and imprison dissidents in Tanzania and Zambia. There was not any mention made of Angola in this particular report. Can you comment on that first? Secondly, on a more specific issue, last year there were several ANC detainees who returned to South Africa, including Mr. Sipho Pulungwa, who was murdered in Transkei shortly after a press conference at which he had revealed abuses that had gone on in ANC camps. Just on the same issue, can you tell us when the people that the ANC are holding and that you have admitted are holding in camps will be returned to South Africa?
I'll begin with the question of detainees held by the ANC and provide all of you with a bit of background. I don't want to go into details. I said earlier that the Pretoria regime and ourselves have been locked in a bitter and bloody warfare. Certainly Pretoria has imprisoned not just a few hundreds but thousands of us on Robben Island, Paulsmoor, and other prisons. Secondly, Pretoria has executed some of our captured comrades, Solomon Mahlangu, Mkhwerane, Musolodi, Mtaung, and they have sentenced to life imprisonment. Thirdly, Pretoria has sent murder squads across the borders of South Africa to eliminate us. I said yesterday, or day before yesterday, that I was one of the victims of the murder squads on more than one occasion. Gabi certainly was eliminated by them in Harare, and so many of our people have been killed in Gaborone, in Swaziland, in Mozambique, in Lesotho, and many other centers. In that war, Pretoria has been sending scores and scores of agents to kill and poison us in the camps. We have intercepted and caught some of those agents. Dirk Coetzee, whose credibility, despite what the Harms Commission said, has been accepted by Justice Kriegler, that for years Pretoria has maintained a place called Flag Plus, which was a center for secret operations against us, and the activities included poisoning of ANC members. We had to defend ourselves to survive. We arrested people including Olivia Forsyth, who is a confessed agent of the regime. There were many others who confessed. We had to keep them somewhere, and they were kept in a camp in northern Angola. That camp is no longer there since we moved from Angola. Over the last few years, we have been releasing many of these people. Some are studying and they have been reintegrated in our movement. They have been pardoned by us. Twala and the so-called dissidents who came back from South Africa were also released and sent to Tanzania. They fled to Kenya. That's why they came back to South Africa about a year ago. We are in the process, as soon as the necessary logistics are organized, to release those people, and we shall give them an option either to remain with us abroad or come back to South Africa. We shall certainly not prevent a single one of them from coming back to South Africa if those people so desire. Coming to the question of Pungula, he came back with a group and went to the Transkei and was killed in the Transkei. That killing was not organized by the African National Congress. Of all those dissidents, he's the only one who has been killed so far. But he was not killed on the instructions of the ANC. as an organization, we made a public statement on this issue. And I don't think it is fair to blame us for the killing of Sipho Phungula in the Transkei. The Transkei government carried out its own investigations. I don't know the outcome of those investigations. And it was willing to discuss this issue with the South African regime. So all I can say is that we cannot be held responsible for the killing of Phungula.
Question over here.
Peter Hammond, Frontline Fellowship. Mr. Hani, for years ANC has claimed to represent the vast majority of black South Africans, yet despite the massive international media coverage on the foreign funding, substantial foreign funding you receive and the aggressive membership drive this last year, according to press reports, the ANC has failed to sign up more than 200,000 members, yet the Inkatha Freedom Party of Dr. Mangosuthu Buthelezi has over 2.2 million paid-up card-carrying members. How then can the ANC continue to claim to represent the majority of what is in reality not even 1% of the people of South Africa? And secondly, as your organization has publicly allied itself with American foes such as dictators Castro, Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi, why then should American taxpayers contribute tax dollars to your organization, which is involved in violence?
Well, I think the comparison is very unfair. Inkatha has been operating openly, I don't know for how many years, unharassed and unpersecuted by the state. In fact, the leader of Inkatha Freedom Party is the chief minister in a homeland created by Pretoria. The resources of that homeland are at his disposal. He has got offices in Ulundi. He gets his salary from the South African government. Most of his ministers are paid by the South African government. They have never been arrested, persecuted, or banned, banished, or exiled like ourselves. Unlike Mandela, he has enjoyed all the space to mobilize. Mandela, until last year, was in prison for 27 years. All the senior leadership of the ANC, for information, has never been able until last year to come back and build an organization inside South Africa. So I think the comparison is rather unfortunate. Inkatha is the sweetheart organization, loved by Pretoria and not harassed at all. And they have never been involved in a struggle, in my own memory, against the South African government. They are like a church, as far as I'm concerned, which goes every day unmolested to preach the word of God. They preach the word of freedom without taking any action to ensure that freedom comes about. Then moving from there, I think your statistics are rather outdated. The ANC so far has got more than 500,000 members, and there's a drive to recruit more members into the ANC. I think that's an achievement, considering that we started building the ANC seriously in August last year. Yes, we're unbanned in February. But then you have got to build a core of leaders. They had just come out of prison. Others were abroad. We had to set interim structures. You must remember, we're an underground movement. An underground movement has got to be very, very small to survive. Now we're building a mass movement. And for us to have reached all the parts of South Africa in 8 months is an amazing achievement. You know, the membership in the Transkei alone is close to 30,000 within 8 months. Inkatha has had, I don't know when it was formed, but I think it has had more than 10 years to build itself, openly and unharassed. And why does the world expect us within 8 months to have, you know, 2 million or 2.2 million paid up membership? But your own papers in South Africa, at any rate, I think Mr. Bob and others will agree, there have been polls to show that more South Africans, especially blacks, support the ANC, more than 42%, and only 6% support Inkatha. Those are not Mandela's polls or the polls of Maibuye or the African Communist, but bourgeois papers like the Star and others. Even Ken Owen, who doesn't like us, agrees that we enjoy majority support. Now, I think there is no doubt that we are a mass national movement. We are not a Natal-based or a Cape-based organization. We have got membership throughout the country. amongst all Africans, Zulus, Xhosa, Tswanas, amongst Indians, people of Asian origin, mixed race, and also amongst whites. There might be few whites in the ANC, but they are there. We are working closely, we are in alliance with a massive trade union federation, which supports the broad outlines of, broad policies of the movement. That is COSATU. Coming to a question, how can the ANC, if it associates and works with what you call dictators, Fidel Castro, Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi. You know, the ANC is involved in a very serious struggle to overthrow apartheid. In that struggle, it needs the support of the international community. The people you call dictators have helped us with training. Poor Cuba has helped us in training our people and has provided equipment. It has given us scholarship to our students to study in Havana and other cities. Why should we reject that assistance? When the Americans were not so forthcoming in terms of training us and giving us anything at that time, the American government. Gaddafi has done the same thing to us, not only us but the PAC, training and funding us as well. Those who suffer can't afford the luxury of not accepting assistance from those who are willing to support us. The Americans must look back into their own history. You did not hesitate to work with Stalin against Hitler. You were sending shipments of food and material via Murmansk and other ports in the Soviet Union in order to fight Hitler. Why should it be reprehensible on the part of the ANC to do the same? To have alliances so that it wages a successful struggle? I think we are unfair to the African National Congress. And I think the American taxpayers must not support us on the basis of choosing friends for us. I think you must respect our decisions to have our own friends. Please don't dictate to us. We must decide who our friends are. I think it's a bit of arrogance to tell us with whom we should associate. That's really patronizing, and I think the ANC doesn't like that.